Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. It's Jennifer Oliver O'Connell. As the girl turns, and you are in my orbit on redstate.com and substack.com. The subject, New Hampshire Secession. Who would have thought? Texas, Idaho, those have been burbling for years, but did not know that New Hampshire was also one of those states that is saying, enough of the federal government. It's time for us to gain our independence. Their motto is live free and die hard. So, kind of, sort of. I got that from what is that show? Breaking Bad. It's like between Live Free and Die Hard and Breaking Bad. It's like that's what New Hampshire is in my mind. Is they fight for freedom, they fight hard for their independence, and so this is just a measure of how that's done. So I have two guests with me today who will tell us more about that.
I'm Carla Gericke, and I'm President Emeritus of the Free State Project. People can find us at fsp.org. The Free State Project is a geopolitical movement to concentrate liberty activists and like-minded liberty people and small L libertarians in the great state of New Hampshire. As you said, our state motto is live free or die. So we picked New Hampshire because we're really serious about liberty and we want more people to come here. I should just mention that we're talking about independence today, and not all Free Staters are pro-independence or pro-secession. Many of us are, but we have found over time that we've built this great ally with Granite Staters. So we've had thousands and thousands of activists have moved to the state of New Hampshire over the past 20 years, and thousands more hopefully are moving. We see people come in every week. But this is an issue that's bigger than just the Free State Project. It's an issue that also appeals across the board to Granite Staters who are looking for solutions for the problems we face.
I'm Matthew Santonastaso, and when people ask me what I do, I don't really know the answer to that because one of these days I'll pick a career, but I drive a truck, I manage properties. Sometimes I do contract work, flying helicopters. And in 2020, I ran for state office here in the state of New Hampshire because basically people asked me to. And one of these days I'll learn how to say no. But for now, I'm stuck in the state house. And this idea to, propose New Hampshire become an independent state was brought to me. And it's the only solution I see to the problem of the federal government. If someone has a better solution, then I'd like to hear it and we'll put it in. But this is the only viable one that I've heard. We thought this was a great idea because, while it may be unlikely that the voters would actually have a majority vote to make this constitutional amendment, it would at least let us know how people actually feel about the federal government. And, in addition to that, I think that all the solutions to fix the federal government seem like dead ends. This is the only one that somebody presented to me that seems like a real solution. I think when it comes to states actually being able to secede, however feasible that is, I think that's a tool that should be realistic to keep the federal government in check. In the same way, some people say that like a firearm is a violence deterrent. It's not necessarily that, people want to own guns to actually commit violence, but it deters people from it because the actual possibility of it is there. And I think if states can secede from the union, then the federal government would have to have that check. I think that's the way the country was supposed to be set up.
So the reality, though, is that so many states, the state I fled from, California, being poster child number one, are just in bed with the federal government. They love their federal dollars. They love that federal funding. What is the state of New Hampshire? Is it in a place, frankly, where it can say, we don't want your funding, we don't need it, we're going to go independent?
So New Hampshire is actually still a net payer to the federal government, which of course means we are paying in more than we're getting back. And of course, that which we do get back also comes with bells and whistles and conditions and all these other things that sort of force people to to behave in certain ways. I mean, New Hampshire uniquely still does not have a mandatory adult seatbelt law, because we have just over the years said absolutely not, and they tried to bribe us with federal funds, and we just very much live free or die. Whereas, like, you know what? No, it's okay. I did want to mention just that bill that Matt talked about, the CR-32. The language was very clear, very easy to understand. And the way it works in New Hampshire actually is that for any of these bills, we have to introduce them in the legislature, and then it actually has to both pass the legislature, but then also go in front of the voters of New Hampshire. And those thresholds are above 60%. So they're high thresholds. So it really does become a question for the voters, as opposed to, sorry to politely call you the gatekeeper, Matt, but the gatekeeper's up at the State House. But the language in that bill actually just said, providing that the state peaceably declares independence from the US and proceeds as a sovereign nation. And it's really important, and I know Matt and I both feel very strongly about this, is that your listeners and watchers, viewers need to understand this is a peaceful movement, because the violence actually comes from the federal government, right? And a lot of us are trying to move away from that model, move away from the wars, move away from the debt, move away from the injustices that are really now just coming out of DC.